Hi everyone, this is Monique Sugimoto with History on the Hill. We want to remind everybody to watch History on the Hill with RPV TV, and in case you miss an episode, you can always watch it at palosverdeshistory.org. Welcome to another episode of History on the Hill. We are here in the RPV TV studios with Maria.
Well, yes, Maria Serrano. I get to actually be your co-host today on History on the Hill, so thank you so much. It's an honor for me because I love talking with you about all things history in Rancho Palos Verdes, so I'm so glad you're here.
I know, I'm so glad to see you again and to be here. It has been way too long since we've done one of these episodes, so I'm just thrilled to be here in your new studio.
Thank you.
And it looks fantastic.
Thank you so much. You have been so busy. Tell us about what you have been working on.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I've been working on this year was the migration of our digital repository.
Okay.
So all of our online content where we have our photographs, audio, video, all of that, we had to take it off of one platform and move it onto another platform. And this new platform is called Recollect. Just like we have Recollections,
yes.
And it's a fabulous platform. It's just that it took a long time to figure out how we wanted to put the materials on there. It's an entire new website. It has a whole lot of new functionality, so it just took a while to get everything over.
So to really dig in, how did you take everything that's just history, books?
Yes.
And I know there's some new things we're going to talk about, but how did you digitally put them into the computer? How did that work?
Right, so we had everything on a server with a company, and they had a way for us to see all of the materials. Our first job was to download everything. So we had to, or they had to actually download everything for us. So we had all of the data. So when you have a picture up there, you have the title, the date, the description, you have subject categories, you have all of this different, what's called metadata, just information about that item.
Okay.
And so that all got downloaded. And then on our side, we had to decide, well, how do we want our images to be displayed? How do we want to have audio displayed? One of the big things I wanted to do was to have the community be able to submit their own photographs onto the platform directly. So we had to figure out how to do that. So it was a lot of back and forth with the Recollect company, and the time difference was a big thing with us because they're located in New Zealand.
Wow.
So we were working on, New Zealand time, U.S. time. We had the consultant who was in Arizona, so we had to work on all these different, the timepieces. So that was really the big.
So wait, how many hours is New Zealand? They're ahead of us, is that right?
They are ahead of us.
So they're like another day.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
So they're a day ahead of us. So usually we were meeting at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon our time, which was 10 o'clock or so, or 11 o'clock in the morning.
The next day.
The next day for
Wow.
them. And then of course Fridays are wash because our Friday is their Saturday.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And so when everything was put on digitally, is this something now that can just be ongoing to put more things in, or how does that work?
Yes, absolutely. So now that everything is set up, it's really now just plug and play. People can go to the website, and it's palosverdeshistory.org. It's the same website.
Okay.
We rebranded it as the Palos Verdes Community Archives because we really want the community to be a part of it.
Okay.
And to be able to contribute their materials. Before the pandemic, I had a project called Your Story is the Peninsula Story.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do.
People could come in, we would scan the images, give it back, and then we would upload it. Well, now that's part of the site.
It's great.
You can use the site. You don't need to be a registered user to use the site, but if you wanted to contribute your own photographs, then you would have to become a registered user. Don't worry, all of the user requests all come to me. So it's all coming to me. It's not hosted someplace else. It's all coming back to me. So I approve it. I approved your user registration, so now you're a user on that.
Oh, great, thank you.
And what's kind of cool about it is that not only can you contribute your own photographs right now, in a while, maybe next year, I'll allow or we can get to, we're just starting with this thing, for people to upload documents and maps and different types of content. But you can also tag people in photographs.
Wow.
So you can say, oh, I know who this person is, and you can write their name.
Interesting.
Or you can say, I remember when, Marineland was get going, or whatever, the parking lot or the restaurant. So you can actually add your own recollections onto an image.
That's amazing.
Which is pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun.
Because it'll be so much easier for people to say, oh, I found this photo, let me upload it, and then people can maybe take a look at it. You can take a look at it and say, oh, wait, we know where this is, or we know who this was.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of places where we don't know, like, where are these hills, because they were before development and we don't have the roads to go by. So it's a really nice opportunity, I think, for the community to, help us identify places.
Yes.
And document itself. So that's really what I've been after for these last 5-8 years or so.
You've been working on this for so long. Did you have interns helping? How did this process kind of go over the summer, especially?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good one, because there are kind of two parts. I did have interns helping afterwards, but once I got everything set up, I had one staff member who was compiling materials for me so that I could upload them. But it was taking a lot of Excel sheets and working with Excel and making sure that all of the bits and pieces of data were in the correct places, and then uploading it. But the nice thing about the site is that once you get to know how it operates and how you can use it, it is actually quite easy. So, I wasn't saying that in March and April, believe me.
I bet.
No, I was crying. I was pulling my hair out every day because it was a really tough migration. But now, I'm just having fun learning the different ways that we can put materials on there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one example, and I can show it to you later on, too.
Yeah.
When we started the 40 Families Project, which
everybody
that we've
knows seen on History on the Hill, yes.
Yeah, that we've done an episode on that where we're trying to identify everybody in a photograph from 1923.
Right.
Those are our 40 families. There are many more than just the 40 families. But at the time that the project was started over 20 years ago, the previous local history librarian found a whole bunch of letters that the kids who were going to Malaga Cove School right before internment had written to their teacher. And she went to JANM, the Japanese American National Museum downtown, and she was transcribing the records. Well, I've discovered now that the museum has actually put those letters online. So now from our website, I have the person who's writing the letter, and I can link directly to the letter that JANM has put up. So that's just really amazing to be able to create those links. And that's really what it's about, so that people can link to see those letters. I've also linked out to Poston, Arizona, to a similar site, so that people can see more photographs of Poston, and where our people, our farmers went. So that's a great function of this new website.
What was the most challenging part of all of this for you?
The most challenging part for me was kind of working alone, but also trying to get to know the software. Our previous platform was really very static, but this is actually an entirely a dedicated website where I can control what content goes on there, as well as how everything can be displayed. And so it's a really configurable platform, and just learning the platform was a challenge to me, since I started at a base that was, if I could do 5 things, that was great on the previous platform. Now I can do about 5,000 things, and I have to kind of figure out how to do those things. But it was a steep learning curve, but wow, it's just been great to have the new platform.
And so are we talking about every single thing that's in the history room?
Oh.
Or are you taking it project by project, or how did you do it?
Project by project.
Okay.
So yeah, everything that was online before has now moved to the new platform. And as we get more materials scanned, those are now being made part of the platform. We just put up publications from 1922 that show the peninsula when it was first being. This was even before the Doors Open thing and the 100th anniversary. The library board meeting minutes from 1928 to 2000 have now been digitized and are online. And that was thanks to a bunch of students who stood in front of our overhead scanner and scanned all of our board meeting minutes for us. So yes, we do have a lot of interns and volunteers doing this type of work.
That must be, I mean, that's just huge, because you've got so much stuff in the history room, so many different types of things.
Lots of different stuff, and this platform gives us the opportunity to share that much more broadly.
Very cool.
Yes.
So I know you brought some things that you recently had been donated to the history room.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay. So, so these are just a couple of new donations that have come in. I'm going to talk about this one in a second. But these are some yearbooks. Now, we have done an episode on the yearbooks before.
Honestly, one of my very favorite things, because it to me is so cool to be able to see a yearbook from 1976.
Yes.
I mean, we all think about our yearbook from whatever year it was, but you have so many, and I love that. I love looking through.
And those are mostly high school yearbooks.
Yes.
But this is Dapple Gray. Okay, so we have a couple of Dapple Gray yearbooks, which came in. And I just think that this is really great, because this is, intermediate school, it's not a high school. So that's, I never thought that we would get these.
No, and how many people have lost their yearbooks, and they could walk in and say, wow, I went to school during that year, and they can relive the memory.
And they can see it, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really important in this year and last year. I don't know that we did this last year, but there was the all-year school reunion for Rolling Hills High School, and I think Rolling Hills High School maybe was this year, and it's just 1 year, but last year was Mirror West High School.
Okay.
And people were coming in looking at the yearbooks. That was a huge event.
Yes.
Last year for that, and just yearbooks are the place to be. You can find out so much.
And even thumbing through them, I noticed that the notes are written in there still. I mean, look at that. It's just the things that people wrote, and just to have that is, I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, look at this one. To a cool guy, a little fat, but still cool. I don't know.
See, kids write, people write what they really think.
Yes, they really do. I mean, that's just kind of cool. All right, so now it's in the local history room. Yeah, so we got these two yearbooks, which I thought were really great. One other thing that we got recently, and this is just so wonderful. We all know about Orky,
of course,
and Marineland, but this was the photograph of the baby orca when it was born.
Wow.
Yes, in captivity.
Now, where did that come from?
So this came from a community member. I mean, the photograph was donated to the local history room from a community member, but I think this was probably a publicity picture.
Beautiful.
That they must have been selling over at Marineland, because they actually have, it has all of the information on it.
Wow.
But this is really cute, because you can see what a baby, orca, looked like. But what also came into the donation was a killer whale fact sheet.
How interesting.
And also letting us know what's going on with the baby, and why they can't have the display open while the baby is there, and just the facts about a female killer whale calf.
Right.
That she was born on Friday, June 18th, 1982 at 3:20 a.m. How many pounds do you think she weighed?
Okay, so how many pounds the baby whale?
At birth.
Oh, okay, 500 pounds?
Good. It was 400 pounds.
Wow.
She was 400 pounds at birth.
Oh.
And then.
And how many pounds would the mama be? Do we know that?
Oh man, I don't know about that.
Maybe tons.
Let's see.
Let's see.
So Orky is the largest animal in captivity, weighing over 14,000 pounds and measuring 24 feet long.
Wow.
And Corky is an 8,000-pound, fully mature killer whale measuring 20 feet in length.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And what I think is so fascinating about the Marineland, the things that you've received over the years, and you did a show about Marineland, of course.
Yes, we did.
Is really the interest that is still there from the community, even outside of the community. People always remember Marineland, and it wasn't really just a theme park per se because of the animals, and they were so famous in their own right when we talk about Orky and Corky.
Yes.
And the TV shows that were filmed there, that it was really such a community place that I remember one of the residents saying that they would go there at lunches and just sit in the park and just enjoy it, you know, or they would go there for certain reasons. And the memories that were made there, it was such a part of this community.
It was such a big part of the community. And you know, for a residential community, right?
Yes.
That was a really big, I mean, organization to be here.
It was.
And how many times have you heard people say, "Oh, I used to work,
yes,
you know, at the gift shop, or I used to wear one of the, you know, suits, or whatever it was." So many people worked at Marineland.
They did.
I just can't believe it.
And I know Terranea, which of course is on that land now, they still do reunions for Marineland. And you know, people will come and gather. I think we attended one of them, and it is amazing how many people still live here on the hill that worked at Marineland. Amazing.
You know, last year at the Doors Open Peninsula thing, I met somebody who she has, I think, some films of Marineland, and I'm like, oh, absolutely, let me digitize them, let me have them, you know, put them up so that people can see.
Yes.
Because they were just so, you know, so special.
Yeah, it really was such a special place.
Such a special place. So I think this is so cute, and you have to love this graphic.
I love it.
Of the little baby in like a swan.
I love that they especially had information, again, for people that were either residents or regulars, so they could keep up on the baby.
Yes.
It's so great.
That's why Orky and Corky are not performing, because they have a newborn baby. So they're talking about the whole thing. So I just think that this is such a sweet, you know, donation, and it just,
amazing.
It just gives so much more to, you know, what Marineland was, and in a way that people who, you know, were not raised here can kind of learn about, you know,
what Marineland was.
Exactly, what it was all about.
Did the whales end up in San Diego's, or SeaWorld? Was that right?
SeaWorld, yeah.
In San Diego.
SeaWorld in San Diego, and that's a really, you know,
amazing place too.
Yeah, that's an amazing place too. I think the community reaction to that, of course, was you know, something else. And
it was.
We won't do that on this show.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad they went somewhere where they were very appreciated, because obviously they weren't going to stay here. But yeah, people still love Marineland, that's for sure.
Totally love Marineland.
They do. Yeah.
So that was another donation this year. Okay. And this was a donation that many people may not think like, oh, what does this have to do with us? But this is called California Eden.
Okay.
It is Heritage Landscapes of the Golden State. And the author of this book is Christine Edstrom O'Hara. And so that name should sound familiar to people who are here on the peninsula, because she is the Olmsted expert, especially for California, and in particular Palos Verdes.
Really?
Yes. So what she did, and so every time we've done like you know, something special on Olmsted, she is kind of the consultant.
Really interesting.
When the library, Malaga Cove Library, redid the garden on the outside, they contacted her because she knows, you know, what the landscape was supposed to look like. So she's really she's wonderful.
A great resource.
She's a great resource, and she's now a professor at San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
But what she did was she included in this book a section on Palos Verdes, and how important that was for, oh, here it is, and, you know, kind of the importance of Olmsted's work, and it's called A Radical Vision for Palos Verdes. And so it's not just, so that's the, you know, that is the, you know, the entry page for this. But I think why I really enjoy this is because it links our, you know, peninsula to the larger California landscapes and open space and what's going on statewide, and the importance of Olmsted. I mean, we kind of talk about Olmsted locally, but he was such a national figure. And I think through this book, we get to see that connection just to the larger, you know, what's happening in California.
Right, and I think because the land has been so very important to everybody that lives, especially on the peninsula, not to make it look like Manhattan, you know, but to really appreciate the land itself, makes it so different and unique.
Yes, it does. And that we are included in this book, I just think is pretty amazing.
Yes, it is.
So she sent this to me, which I was so thankful for. But I mean, just that we're, you know, there are public places, everyday places, you know, we are included in the extraordinary places.
Wow.
So, you know, like Pasadena, and all over. Santa Cruz, they're all over the state of California, and Palos Verdes, the peninsula is included in there, which I think is cool.
I have an interesting question.
Okay.
So what do you think is the most requested thing about the South Bay or Palos Verdes, the peninsula, maybe the peninsula? What's the most requested thing that people come in and ask you about? Is there one thing or something about the area that people are most interested in researching or learning more about?
But there are a lot of things. Olmsted is a big one.
Okay.
I think a lot of people who come or are researching Palos Verdes are struck by the fact that the peninsula is in Los Angeles County, and it seems like it's in a completely different universe. I mean, like we have the Land Conservancy. How many, areas of our size where we have a land conservancy and land that is actively being managed? Like that is really, I think, a really big interest. So open space is a really big one.
Right.
Architecture is another really big one that we have here. The geology, unfortunately, with the landslide, unfortunately, that has been a research topic. But I think that the land and how the land developed, a lot of people will just say, oh, it's just a residential neighborhood. They don't really know that much about it. But then once they start digging in and seeing just kind of what makes us so special here on the peninsula, it's we get a lot of people who are doing that kind of research. Like, what? This is Palos Verdes? This is, I had no idea this is what was out here.
And it's so interesting because when you look at the South Bay, places like Redondo Beach, Hermosa, the beach community, and then you have this peninsula, and then we go down to Long Beach.
Yeah.
But this middle area, I think, so interesting because it has remained land.
Yeah.
And the different things like the lighthouse and different points where people know about.
Right.
But it is very different from the cities that surround it and Los Angeles as a whole. And like you said, people don't know anything about this area until they come here and they're like, I went hiking there and there's so many trails and they don't think this is here.
No, and they're so stunned when they see that this is here and that it's still been kept here.
Right.
That we're not like a city built up against the water.
Right.
That there still is a lot of open space.
That has one of the best libraries and history rooms in California, right?
There you go. We have a local history center.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Does every library have a local history center?
That's a good question. No, it's actually kind of special on the West Coast.
Okay.
On the East Coast, historical societies were often part of their local libraries.
True.
And that's not necessarily how things developed as you were coming west.
Wow.
So some places have like a California room, which is similar to the local history center. But I don't know that. There are just a handful that have that. Like Glendale has one.
Okay.
I think Burbank has one. But Pasadena has the Pasadena room, or I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, it's not that standard to have a local history center, and it's great.
It is amazing
to be able to, and I've said this so many times, to document and to be able to work in the community where you're living. I'm so fortunate to be able to do that.
Well, and they're so lucky to have you as well.
Yes,
for sure. Yes.
But it is just really fabulous to have a local history center at the library.
So tell us what else you brought.
So what
other
else did I bring?
gems did we bring today?
So what other things have I been working on?
Yes.
So I'm going to put this over here.
Please tell us.
One of the things that I have been doing or trying to do for a long time is to get our local schools to be not to be interested, but to be able to see the resources that we have for students. And when you come into the local history room, of course, it's not written and it's not created for children, but we can still change our materials and we can still scaffold what we have so that they're accessible to children. So this year, I was so fortunate to work with the PVP USD.
Okay.
They have an ethnic studies class. This is for the high school class. They have an ethnic studies class, and we created a field trip, 2 field trips to go on. And one was to document the Native American population on the peninsula and how that was. So we had the Chowigna village over at Malaga Cove School. We had Abalone Cove, which
Right.
was really,
Yes.
amazing. We even had Tom Steers, who was the one behind the getting that plaque.
The Tongva?
Yeah, the Tongva
Yeah.
plaque. So I had him come and talk to the students,
Great.
which was really great. On another field trip, we did the Japanese American population and the farming population. So we went out to Terminal Island. Have you ever been out there?
I have not, and I would love to go out there.
Oh my gosh,
I would
we
love
should go
to.
out there.
We
because
should, let's go.
It is really an interesting place to go. But we had the Terminal Islander group
So
come
awesome.
out and talk about it. They're even included in some of the pictures. We went to White Point,
Okay.
which was really nice, and we had the Nature Center give us information.
So you have been busy.
I have been busy,
You've
yes.
been running around all
Have been
over.
busy, yes.
Yes.
And then for the students, for the younger students, this is what we were doing. So this is a little map.
Wow.
that, so the
Aw.
map is the big map that was printed in I think it was 36 or something.
I love that.
And it was for adults. But we made it so that students can then go in and find all of the different places and color the map to find out what was here.
This is what makes it so fun, especially for students, because they can see something, they can color it in.
Yes.
I love that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
so that they can go in here and then color and say, wow, this is my home. This is
this is where I live.
This is where I live. This is what this is what my community was.
Right.
So that's just kind of so this has kept me very, very busy.
Yes, very busy. Yes.
Yes. So that has been most of what I have been doing, and going forward, I want to invite everybody to come and look at our digital repository, Palos
Yes,
Verdes History.
absolutely.
Be a registered user.
And
that
so
you can see
what
it.
is the website that they can
Oh, they can go to palosverdeshistory.org. All one word. Palos Verdes History, all one word, .org. And that is the Palos Verdes Community Archives.
Very nice. And so for
Yes.
2025, a lot more history on the Hill.
For 2025, I think we should just schedule these things in.
I think we should.
I
Let's
think
do
let's
that.
just schedule it in, and I'll just bring my box with me, and we can just do
I
a
love it.
regular. Yeah,
I love it.
I think let's definitely
Let's do that for sure.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming in studio today, Monique.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us here on another episode of History on the Hill, and we hope to see you soon.